morning, everybody. It is
Good morning, everybody.
it's Thursday, August 3rd. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Plus. I'm here with
Hey, everybody. It's Andrew Plank with LePage in the Vibe Real Estate Group.
Yo.
Yo.
So how's this week been going for you?
I've been tired. I've been really tired. And that's okay. That's just, I don't know. It's the summertime, the heat, the lack of sleep because I'm staying up too late, all that stuff. But yeah, summer's a funny time because it's been busier, but it also can get kind of slow and you kind of get into those doldrums of like, what should I be doing? What am I doing with myself? And yet it hasn't really slowed down that much, has it?
No.
Yeah. But I think there's a part of me, there's a part of my body, part of my psyche that's like, I really want it to. I want to have some summertime. I want to get out in the sunshine. I want to go paddle boarding. I want to this, I want that. You know.
This
here I am whining. I'm not whining.
This has been a very consistent thing since I met you.
I know.
You are very good at taking a vacation, and I am not so good. And I think you have really good life balance, actually, in general.
I think it's important to try to find that. And I mean, we've talked about this many times. We've both gone in different sort of areas in our career. You've really pursued and have built a really successful business. And I've built a moderately successful business that gives me the ability to balance those things. And I've seen, you also know how to, get away, and you've incorporated your work into your life in a way that makes it, I would assume, very satisfying for you. So,
I think you're very successful myself.
Thank
I'm
you.
not just saying that.
No, I know. It's all about, when you compare yourself to other people or other people in this industry, I'm, up in the higher levels of sales without being so busy that I can't think straight or have no time for myself. And I need more time to think. I'm just one of those people who really needs that space and time, because I can't always be in it. Otherwise my brain will explode.
Yeah. And I'm always in it. And I remember this about my mom too. She was a very focused person and always thinking about her work. And that's one thing that I need to sort of, when I go away, that's why I take longer vacation and just zone out. Try to.
Yes. And if you can get away and actually turn it off, then it can make all the other stuff really worth it. So, good for you. And that's, I think, where my balance is a little harder. I have a harder time taking it all away when I go away as well. So I tend to sort of pull and carry some of it with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's, hey, folks out there, everybody figures out their own way, right? So.
Yeah. You can go your own way. We're just saying that it's a real gift to get referrals just before the show started. And it is, that's the biggest difference in real estate. As you progress, you'll find as you get known for doing things a certain way and you develop a reputation. This is for all these people who are getting into real estate, of which there are a lot.
Yeah.
Is you will find your rhythm, and then people will start to give you referrals. So
it takes a long time to get going, but once you're established, it's a lot easier to, the current starts to flow you along, in the sense that you've made a community, people out there, and they know you. They know who you are in your mind, in your heart. They know what your sort of moral compass is because they've worked with you in the past. And so they are feeling comfortable sending their friends and family your way. And that continues to grow over time.
Yeah. So keep going, everybody. All right. So we're going to do the stats for August 3rd. Just going to change.
Stats day. Okay. Excellent.
So it has been weather-wise a very hot July. Let's see if that has corresponded into the Victoria real estate market. Woohoo! And I put in last month because I wanted to just show everybody that we, in terms of net unconditional sales, we are down month over month.
Yeah, quite significantly.
So net unconditional sales in July for June were 705, and for July they were 595. So that's interesting to me. And this is up still from July of 2022, where they were 510. So we're up 10% over, sorry, 20% over July of 2022, but we're down from June.
Yeah, and if you remember, July 2022 was when the market had really started to slow down after the interest rate hikes had begun and people were starting to get a little bit more concerned. So that was the first big kind of hit, was right around that time and just before,
Yeah.
when sort of went off the cliff from those busy times with the price ramping up month over month in a kind of insane and crazy way, and all the multiple offers and so forth.
Yeah, and I just looked at a mortgage statement I got. Our mortgage has doubled in our house over the past 2 years.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Our mortgage has gone up so much in the last year or so. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, new listings for June of 2023, they were at 1297. For July, they were a little lower at 1,125. And this compared to July of 2022, we are pretty even. It was a 1,101. So 20 more, 24 more.
Mhm.
Active listings, we are up at 2419 for July. And this is up from 2,162 in July of 2022. And it is up also from month over month from 2,342 last month.
Yeah, so we're starting to, that inventory is definitely starting to go up in a pretty positive, clear upwards trajectory. And 2,342 to 2,419, every month going up by, what is that? Can't do math right now. 60. Um,
So, but what this means is you should be having a little more choice when you're going out to look. So, we are still seeing it's a seller's market. We'll see that further down, but there should be a little bit more choice. That being said, when I was looking at some of the stats, there weren't enough data for Machosen and North Saanich for the benchmark pricing. So that was interesting.
Interesting. Okay, good to know.
Okay, you can do this one.
Sure. So as of August 3rd, today is August 3rd. As of August 3rd, new listings 266 with 157 properties went pending. 82 price decreases, and you can see the pretty even steps down between each of these. Not that they're necessarily correlated, but we've got a good number of pending versus listings still, but also quite a good number of price decreases. 7 increases, 1 back on market, 343 sold, and that actually makes a lot of sense because we're at end of month. And this is all what has happened in the last 7 days, by the way, folks. And 76 properties expired. Again, that often happens right around the end of the month. For whatever reason, people write their contracts to expire end of month. Jane's shaking her head because we don't, you and I don't necessarily do that. 8 properties were withdrawn from market for whatever reason. Those are usually personal reasons, or changed their mind, or sometimes they've actually just decided to relist. But anyway, that gets into some nuances. Jane, any comments on any of that?
Yeah, so we're looking at a list to sale ratio of 60%. So that tells me we're still in the seller's market over the past week. Whether or not it continues over the whole month, we'll see. That's pretty good. That's a seller's market. And now this all is relative. All this data is relative to where you are in your neighborhood. So this is generalized data just for everyone's
Your
knowledge.
neighborhood, and also your kind of property, because you'll see in the stats later that houses versus condos, for example, are going to go, are currently maybe going in slightly different directions. Yeah, so this is our active listings on market, and as we mentioned, they've been going up month over month pretty steadily since, what is that, December. And we're at a higher number now than we have been since July of 2021 in terms of inventory. When, in December 2021, we had less than, we had just over 600 listings on market, all told. And now we're up over 2,400.
Yeah, and that's normal. So you're going to see a normal fluctuation, but you're right. So what we were saying before, we're peaking here. There'll be another little bump in the market, I think, over the next 2 months as things come on for our second spring, they call it. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah.
Who calls it that? Are you talking about September?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So when we got into the market, there used to be spring and then there would be a fall market. And you could see that happen last year. Previous to that, during COVID, during those 2.5 to 3 years, things were just pretty steady. We had very consistent sales of like 800 sales a month. So this lower line are the sales and the upper bars are the listings. And what I like to look at with buyers is what is the ratio of the line to
Mhm.
the bar, and that'll tell you what your competition is. And you can see a lot of people like to wait. Oh, let's wait till April or May when the garden looks good. You can see the list to sale ratio there in May and June is quite high.
Mhm.
So your chances of selling were less then, and now it actually looks like it's about 50% still.
Yeah. Yeah. I also like to look at the direction that both are going in, because when they're both going in the same direction, it's kind of, the ratios can stay somewhat similar. And it also just sort of follows market trends. You can sort of see it pretty standard. Okay, more people are listing than, listings and sales are going in the same direction, because that tends to follow each other. But sometimes they go in opposite directions, and that's just useful information to see.
Yeah.
Um, you
And the
know,
question is also where are those listings coming from? Because I mean, for me, I tend to list more Saanich East listings in August and September because we have a specialty market there for the university and colleges.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And interestingly, last year we see lots of sales that completed in October. And so to me, that maybe if I looked at that data, it might be related to what was happening in Saanich. Don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you can see the two humps in the middle there in the center of the graph. So you have your spring and your fall market there.
So if
Okay.
you're following the line curve, there is what Jane's referring to, as well as actually the bar curve also bumps up. September, more listings, and then the sales kind of follow the listings with that bump. And you do tend to find a bit of a lag behind with the line versus the listings.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, moving on.
Okay, this is the list to sale ratio. So what we were talking about before, that between the bar and the line, this is the ratio, and we are in the 30%. So we're just at going from a seller's market to a balanced market. 20 to 30% is balanced market.
Yeah, I would say we're feeling more and more balanced as time goes on, and certainly when I see that number of price reductions, I feel like people are having to balance their pricing expectations as well. So we're no longer seeing the same kind of price rises that we were before, when we're seeing people who had been optimistic when they list their home be on market for a while, not get the bites or the activity they'd expected, and then having to make some changes to make that work. So suggest we're moving more towards balanced as well when I see that.
Yeah. Okay, so single family homes. So 2 years ago, we were just above 1.150. We peaked in April of 2022 at just under 1.450.
Mm.
And I don't know if you saw, I did a little video the other day about pricing your home. So people are still expecting prices from last year. Folks, we're not there. We're still high. We're higher than we were 2 years ago, but we're not where we were last year. We're just over 1.350.
I find people get their tax assessments and put a lot of weight on those and think, oh, my home's worth this because that's what the tax assessors have said my home is worth. But no, that's not necessarily the case. And but people get a fixed, it's easier, I think, when you see a high number to fix to that number, and then you don't want to sell for less, even though that's just a piece of paper with a number on it that is not necessarily reflective of the reality today.
What I'm seeing in this graph is over the past year, it has been very steady.
Mm.
And if we were to look at it like from a big picture view 20 years from now, it will look like a flat line.
Mm,
Um, agreed regarding assessment, and somebody told me, oh well, you should write offers of assessed value plus 10%.
mm,
And I was
mhm.
like, or minus 10%. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't even know where you get that. Where
Well,
you get that
when
math
you
from.
take all the assessed, you can always take all the assessed values and all the sales values and average both out, and then make an assumption that, properties are selling at 10% below assessed value or 5% above assessed value, whatever that number comes in. You can say that, and on average, that's going to be true. But you can't look at any one specific particular property and apply that in any meaningful way. But a lot of people try to do that, and I find it. I'm always shaking my head and having to have that conversation over and over and over again with people.
Yes, which is why I made my little video.
Hmm.
Do you know Eric Morgan?
No.
Okay, well, thanks for the like, Eric Morgan. Okay, condo apartments. So go ahead.
Yeah, so this is interesting because if you go back one,
Yep.
you're talking about the straight line, but we do see a little bit more of a bump up. Sorry, back to the houses. Bit of
Yep.
a bump up between June and July. Just a little bit above that line, but maybe sort of breaking just a little bit out of that line in terms of a price appreciation up above it. But when we look at condos here, we see the opposite, where we've got a pretty steady up line from December 2022 to May, June, if you kind of average out that line. But then June to July actually drops a bit. So that's just sort of interesting to note. And we do have a lot more data with condos than we tend to get with townhouses or houses, just because there's so many more units that tend to sell in a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting bit of metric. Any
The peak,
comments on that?
yeah. So we were 2 years ago. We were at 550. We peaked just under 700 in January of 2022.
Mm,
Over the past year, we have been fairly steady around 600, and we're just below 650 now. So
yeah,
yeah, trend slightly upwards, but again, if we looked at a big picture view from 20 years, I think it will look fairly flat.
really flat. The other thing to comment about this versus the last slide is when you look at the difference between prices. Actually, no, it doesn't look so bad. I was going to say, when you look at the prices from the peak, that when we were up at around 1.45,
Yeah.
um, it it feels like we dropped lower with the single families and have dropped back up, whereas with the condos, okay, never mind. What do you? I was misremembering that, I guess.
Well, what I'm seeing when I'm looking at this is housing prices took a dip last year and have been fairly consistent. Depending on what's on the market right now, prices have come up. Condos, they also dipped, but and they dipped in June
Yep.
or July of 2022. And again, it depends on, so this is all condos. There
Yeah.
have been a number of higher end condos coming on the market, like especially downtown, that have
There's also
just,
a lot of new construction out in the West Shore, which can affect this as well.
yeah. So I'm seeing it's a little bouncy there, but I'm thinking it's fairly steady. So I mean, don't expect to get a good amount of money off. That's what this tells me.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Now, we always talk about this every month, the fact that row townhouses, they vary in quality and quantity.
Mhm.
And so this number bounces around a lot as well. But trend wise, we were at 750 2 years ago. We peaked around 950 in April 2022. We had a few peaks there. And then we're back down around 825. So year over year, we're down and we're up over 2 years.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, I like this graph, and Andrew, do you want me to go start?
I'll try this one out.
Okay.
So here we are, July 2023, and we're talking benchmark price of MLS Home Price Index. So that's like the basket of goods like the consumer price index, what is a cost of a basket of goods, jug of milk and carton of eggs and jug, whatever it is. And you've got the same thing with houses. So they've tried to track a typical home with all the typical kind of contents that you might find in it. And they've made this typical home, they will vary. So what we talk about as a single family home from the core city of Victoria versus one on the West Shore would actually be a bit of a different home from what they've actually are using to describe it. But anyway, benchmark price, single family home in Greater Victoria was $1,178,400. And compare that to last month, it was pretty close, $1,173,000. Last year it was up, as we have showed and said repeatedly, it was at 1.24900, so 1,224,900. So price change over last month, it's up by 0.5%, but it's down 3.8% over last year. For the whole core, we were at 1.318800 in July of last July, this July. That's down, it's a little bit up from the 1.310. I'm just going to skip over to, essentially we're up 0.7% over last month and down 3.5% over last year. Single families in the West Shore, much more of quote affordable in the West Shore at 1,065,200. Quote affordable is of course relative, and that's down actually just a little bit over last month, and also down a little bit over last year. So we've got 0.1% down over last month and 0.8% down over last year. For the peninsula,
seems kind of steady to me.
Yeah, West Shore has sort of held its own, just steady. The peninsula is at 1.2,061,200. That is up a bit from last month at 1.247,900. It is down from 1.318, 1,318,600 from July last year. And so that is 1.1% price change from last month up, and it's 4.4% price discount over last year.
Okay, so for condos in Greater Victoria, we're at 575,600, which is 0.5% up over 572,700 last month, and down 4.4% from last year of 602,100. For the condos in the core, so these are the 5 main areas, we're at 578, very similar numbers. So we're up 0.7% over last month and down 3.7% from last year at 600. West Shore is at 542. This always interests me because when we got into the market, there was a big discrepancy between the two areas, the core and the West Shore. Mm-hmm. We're down 1.2% from last month at 548,900. Mm-hmm. And we're down 7.7% from last year when it was 587,500. So,
and that goes into that concentric rings kind of conversation we have where, things in the core tend to go up most quickly when it's busy and down the most slowly when it slows down, whereas the West Shore and the outlying areas tend to, in a tight market, they will run up quite fast after everything else has gone because it's filling in the blanks, you might say. So when we were really busy and there was nothing left in the core to be buying, people were going out to the West Shore and snapping things up. When the market changes, it changes more rapidly out there.
Yeah. Okay, so in the peninsula, benchmark price was 621,300. This is up 1.7% from last month at 611, and it is down 5.1% from last year when it was 654,700.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay, so row townhouses in Greater Victoria, the benchmark price was 785,300. That's up just a little bit from last month at 775,800. Definitely down over last year, which was 825,600. So a month over month from last month, this month, 1.2% increase, but over last year, it's a 4.9% decrease. In the core, 852,400 was the benchmark price for last month. That is up from 837,900 last month, and still down from last year at 888,200. So 1.7% increase over last month, but still a 4% decrease over last year. So we're going in the right direction, but we're still got some ways to catch up over last year is kind of the takeaway on all of these. The row townhouses in the West Shore, 706,000 last month, 705,600 last year, like nominally almost the same. Sorry, last month, did I say?
Yeah.
And 765,900 last year. So we're down 7.8% over last year, but up 0.1% this month over last month. In the peninsula, 793,400 is the current benchmark versus 775,100 last month and versus 804,100 last year. So 2.4% increase. This is interesting to see this one, 2.4% increase in peninsula townhouse values, 1.3% or 1.3% lower than last year.
So what's interesting about this is the change in row townhouses has gone up in the peninsula.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what is not being measured here is half duplexes, which I noticed there are a lot more selling on the back of Bear Mountain now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're averaging around $900,000 to $1 million. So this is a whole concept here that's being missed out of this HPI.
Not in this HPI, no. Not in these reports. It's tracked, I'm sure.
I also went and got the visuals on these. So
now I was looking at this and I just want to confirm this can't be for single family homes, can it? Because these prices don't match up. It looks like townhouse.
Yeah.
So let's just confirm that. So looking at, oh no, this is all.
But just looking at the changes over time, this is year over year, we're seeing a decrease 6.4%. So let me just go back and look at the data. Hold on one second. This is, yeah.
So it looks like Saanich West hasn't changed at all. View Royal has gone down by 6.4%. Esquimalt 7.7%. These are all over last year, the benchmark pricing.
Hold on one second. I'm getting it.
Okay.
Scroll.
I like that there's no data available for Oak Bay. It's kind of like the mystery municipality there.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me go back here.
I think we should just skip this.
5.2%. Well, now I'm interested. It's 5.2%. So that is for townhouses. Yep.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, and I don't think there are very many townhouses in Oak Bay. Okay, skip it. Next.
Mm-hmm.
Next. Okay. What's your prediction for what's going to happen this fall?
I mean, we've got the inventory rising. I've got a buildup of buyers waiting for the right property to find. I think we're still going to see, and I'm still talking to lots of buyers who are active out there, coming from other areas, whether it's the Comox Valley or from Vancouver, Toronto. So I still see us as having an active market. And it's really just about getting that balance between price and inventory and buyer demand. I think we're still going to be doing quite well in this come fall.
What I'm hearing from, well, interestingly, from a buyer this morning is everybody's moving to the island.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely have a net influx. I agree. We have buyer pent-up demand. I've had some sellers trying to hold on to their prices. It feels like we're getting a little more activity, actually. So what's interesting is when you list a property and you do keep the price the same over time, and you can see activity changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel we're getting a little more, it feels to be more viewings lately on the houses. And yeah, and I would say if you consider something overpriced, just write the offer.
Yeah, there's a conversation to be had with the sellers. If you're working with, if you're a buyer, you're working with a buyer, and there's something that's been on market for a while. Many times we don't know what's going on in the background of those people who are selling, what their motivation is, and they may just be very negotiable, but not willing to change their price point. But once an offer is in front of them, they will have that conversation. They will think about it. It doesn't mean we should run around and make lowball offers on everything. It's still gonna, things tend to find their value. And but if a property appears to be around a while, appears to maybe it's overpriced, you might consider the seller not being fully in tune with what's going on. Might be time to give them a tune-up, send them that offer.
Yeah, true. And also, give sellers time to think about it. I find
Oh,
that's
yeah,
key.
yeah, absolutely.
They have to come to grips. If you get too aggressive, both on timing and on price, they're just going to walk away. But if you just say, listen, try it. Here's what we're giving you. This is what we're basing the offer on.
There's a lot of nuances. The more time you leave an offer open for, the more chance somebody else could bring in a competing offer. But if you truly think that that property is overpriced and you want to have that seller really think about it, there's nothing worse than saying, "Here's a really ridiculous offer, and you've got an hour to give me a decision." Take it or leave it. That's just really probably not going to fly. But I find once people have slept on it and they really think about it and they understand and think about what their reasons for moving were, why they're doing this in the first place, and that real money that's put in front of them in terms of the offer, if it's been done respectfully, they will give it the credit, the credence it deserves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my prediction is just based on this. I think single family homes will continue to do well over the fall. I don't expect a significant increase. I think condo prices will level out in October. I think that we'll see a little bump maybe for the next few months as the university comes in,
Mhm.
and townhouses I think will flatten out. You?
Okay. Yeah. Sure enough. Yeah. I mean, it's more about the activity. I think we're not going to see a dead market. I think we're going to continue to see a pretty active market. But it's not going to be the active market we've seen before. And it's super price sensitive. That's the main takeaway.
And our very consistent viewer, Meredith, is
Yeah.
saying, I appreciate buyers that allowed for more than a nanosecond for a seller to make a decision.
Yeah. Easiest is when you're put in the position of making a decision and it's a difficult one and you don't have a lot of time, the easiest decision is to stay with the default, which is no.
Yeah,
Right. So when you give them time to think about it, it's going to be working more in your favor. And a lot of people think I've got to be really aggressive in my negotiations. I've got to really be pushy. And sometimes that does work, but most of these situations it doesn't.
agreed.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, if you've liked our show, we appreciate you. We would love to hear from you. Please press that little like button up there so we can see who is watching the show.
It did nothing happen. It just changed screens. Never mind.
Don't forget to subscribe to us. We are on every Thursday at 9:30. You can find us on YouTube, as well as if you want to comment. We love to hear what you have to say. We do check the comments regularly. And if you know somebody who perhaps needs some advice or information, please share this out to them. We would love to be introduced to your friends and family.
We're also in real life as well. So we exist and we will meet you for coffee, or, you can call us, all of that. We're not just faces on the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, we should get together soon.
Yes, we should. Hi, Jean. Yeah, for sure.
All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll see you next Thursday for the Victoria Real Estate Show.
And what are we talking about next week again, Jane? Buyers?
Yeah, what's the cost of buying a house? Like, what are the real costs in Victoria?
Yeah. What does it cost to go through this whole process of buying a house? You got my spreadsheet, right? I have yet to receive yours.
Okay, I didn't check. I'll check.
All right.
All right, you guys, have a great week. We'll see you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.